Welcome back to Culture and Code. I'm your host, Rayfield Johnson Jr., and I'm joined today by
Nina Arora-Rowland, your co-host. It's not about me. It's not about you. It's about us. Black Panther said it best, and that's exactly what great communication is all about. Today on Culture and Code, we're unlocking the skills that turn conversations into collaboration. And when you think about it, that's exactly what communication's about, isn't it? It's not just about what I'm thinking or saying. It's not just about how you hear what I'm saying. It's about how we both share ideas and thoughts and receive them.
Yep. It's about the entirety of the team. So it's not just one person, it's not just two people, it's the entirety of the team. And in situations, whether you're leading that team, collaborating on a project, or just trying to make your ideas heard, strong communication is still going to make or break your success. So for today's episode, we want to make sure that we leave you with core skills for communication that will be instrumental to growing your career. You may notice that through the course of this episode, we may cover some of the topics or some of the items discussed in the previous episodes. The reason why is because we asked for feedback, hashtag culture and code, and we actually listened to your feedback. And what we decided was, instead of just listening and writing notes to ourselves, we actually wanted to implement it and double click into those topics that were covered in previous episodes.
And we're not just talking theory here. We're giving you practical steps and tips that we've learned during the course of our careers that you can start using today. So grab your coffee or juice or tea and let's get into it.
Yeah. Or Pepsi Zero, because I'm drinking Pepsi Zero.
Or that.
And yep, exactly. So let's get started. Our big question for the first segment is going to be, why does communication matter so much? Think about it. Every interaction is an opportunity to build trust, clarity, and connection through that communication.
Exactly. Poor communication leads to misunderstandings, delays, and even conflict. Great communication, it creates alignment and momentum.
Yep. So if you're using the word great or strong communication, I think it's equivalent in this episode and in this conversation. But basically, in our experience, we have seen teams thrive much more when communications were strong throughout the duration of their time together. So clear, concise communication builds trust in that team, opens the individuals up to collaborating more effectively. And then teams that work well together often build a trusted network that they use throughout their career. And it leads to less turnover overall.
So, if you want to lead effectively or collaborate smoothly, communication isn't optional, it's essential.
It is essential. I completely agree with that, because I think a lot of times we have a tendency to think, hey, we can improve our communication over time. It is true that you can do that, but you can't let it go backwards.
Yeah, yeah.
Yep. So let's talk about core skills to ensure that you don't go backwards, right? Let's break down these core skills. And this is where you might see some of the things that we've talked about before, because our three pillars for the core skills are clarity, active listening, and empathy. So first up, let's go ahead and go with clarity. This means expressing your ideas in a way that's simple and actionable. Avoid jargon, colloquialisms, be concise. Always check for understanding. So instead of just continuing with what you're saying, look them in the eye, or at least listen out for the words to ensure that they have actually heard what you said.
Yeah, here's a quick exercise. Before you hit send on that email or speak up in a meeting, ask yourself, what's my main point and what action do I want from this? That one question can transform your communication.
Completely agree with that. But we have to keep going. So our next pillar is active listening. All right. This is a huge one and something we've covered on previous episodes. Just to be a quick summary, listening isn't just waiting for your turn to talk. It's about fully engaging, right? Asking clarifying questions and reflecting back what you heard. So you're an active participant in the conversation. You're not just listening to respond with something that is not focused on what was said.
Yeah, and a great trick or tip to use here is in your next conversation, summarize what the other person said before responding. It shows respect and ensures that you're aligned before you share your own thoughts.
Then the last one, the core skills that we have, is empathy, right? So empathy is very, very important as a leader. And I would say that people who are going to follow you can tell instantly whether you have genuine empathy or made up empathy that you're just not paying attention. So this is about understanding the other person's perspective. When you communicate with empathy, you build trust and reduce friction. The more that they can trust that you're actually in the same place where they are and how they're feeling, the better you will do as a team itself.
Yeah, and that's rooted in awareness, right? Awareness of what might be happening in that person's life, geography. There's a lot happening right now in the world, and a little bit of empathy goes a long way. So, pro tip using phrases like, I understand where you're coming from, or that sounds challenging. It signals that you're tuned in, but you can dig deeper into that, right? And really show that you care. Maybe you have a meeting scheduled with someone that's supposed to go through their performance priorities, but instead they show up and need that time to really just talk about what's happening in life. Give them that space and be there for them. You're not their therapist, but you can be a shoulder for them to lean on for support. Sometimes people just need space to talk and be heard and don't really need you to say much. So just be there to listen.
I agree. I think the shoulder to lean on is probably one of the most important things you said, Nina, because there's a good chance that when you're being empathetic, you may not know where they're coming from. You may
Yeah.
not completely understand, but being the shoulder is what they need. So you
Yeah.
you have to do that to be effective as someone who's being empathetic. Um, Again, these are great pillars. I think we'll go ahead and move to the next segment because I want to make sure that we're uh, done before the football game starts. All right. So, all right. Common pitfalls and fixes. That's going to be our next segment. So let's talk about what not to do. So if you're thinking about a pitfall or things you can do to kind of fix those pitfalls, this is what the segment's all about. And first, we're going to focus on overloading with information. If your message feels like a data dump, technology. There you go. All right, people tune out.
Yep.
Realistically, they're looking for concise messaging upfront to determine how much they want to engage going forward.
Yeah, and what's the solution? Chunk your message. Break it into digestible parts and highlight the key takeaways. One one trick or tip that I like to use that I learned from a mentor's wife many years ago was to use bullet points to, one, shorten the message, but also differentiate between the different ideas because it's a visual aid that forces the brain to kind of focus in on the points. Bullet points are very effective, and I've actually started using that in how I speak as well. So sometimes I've been told that I speak in bullet points. Yeah, because that's how you get a message across more effectively sometimes, depending on the topic and, things like that. So chunk your message, break it into digestible parts, highlight those key takeaways. Bullet points are a very effective tool for that.
Completely agree. I couldn't say any better than that. Second pitfall is assuming understanding. Just because you said it doesn't mean they got it. It's very important to make sure that you understand what they said and they understand what you have said. So some simple tips are reiterating what was saying or bits and pieces of the previous statement from the person can mean a lot in understanding that you got it and they understood that you got it.
Yeah, always confirm. A simple, does that make sense? Or what's your takeaway? Or just reiterating, like Rayfield said, maybe a small phrase from what they just said, or, a highlight. It can save hours of confusion.
Yeah. The third pitfall, this is one that always gets to me, is ignoring tone. Tone is very important when you're communicating because people they read into your tone more
Yeah.
than maybe even hearing your words. Your words matter, but so does how you say them. A rushed or harsh tone can derail even the clearest message. Um,
Yeah, slow down, smile, even on calls, and even when the video's not on, and keep your tone warm and professional. Believe it or not, people can hear your smile, and it makes all the difference in the world, especially if someone's having a rough day. Man, that smile can turn that day around real quick. You have no idea the impact of a smile.
Yeah, and sometimes you have to smile with your heart. I'll be honest with you.
Yeah.
Some people are not smilers. I know a lot of people in my family are not like smilers. Like they just don't just come out of no, anywhere and just smile. But I think the tone that they use and those kind of things, um, you kind of understand what they're saying. You understand whether the intention is good or bad, right? So I mean, I think sometimes you have to uh, physically smile and also smile with your heart, right?
Absolutely.
Um, I'm gonna go into our fourth pitfall unless you had something else to say, Nina. I want to
No,
be an active listener, and I thought I heard you say something.
no,
Um,
I said exactly.
all right, fourth. This pitfall brings us back to something we mentioned before, again, double clicking into a previous topic. So we're focusing back into our own perception and what message we're sending out through our body language. So again, I think in our last episode, or I don't remember if it was last or previous before that, depending on what number we go. But basically, people are making a decision and based off their first impression with you. So if your body language is giving off, yeah, I don't like you, then they're going to immediately say that's the perception they're going to go going forward with you.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. For example, we know a lot of us are tethered to our phones, right? And this is just one example of many, but it's a very impactful one because we are tethered to our phones. And in some cases, it's an addiction. But the reality is, those who've grown up with technology as a part of their life from the time they were born use it to take notes during meetings.
Mhm.
Depending on who's in the room, though, this might give the perception that we're distracted by our phones or surfing the web or social media or texting our friends instead of actively listening to what's being discussed in the meeting. Those in the room are potentially assuming you're doing something else when in fact you may be taking notes. It's important to take all of this into consideration and head that off at the head, right? Or cut that off at the head by perhaps using your laptop to take notes or a good old-fashioned pen and paper. I love to use pens with big furry boas on the top to be distracting. I love that. Or share a quick disclaimer before the meeting starts that you'll be taking notes using your phone or laptop. Just a little bit of communication goes a long way in controlling the perception that you're giving off.
Yeah,
So it comes back to awareness, right? It's not about that specific idea or example, but it's about awareness. When you walk in a room, think about what are the different ways that you might be perceived, and what can you do to control that perception to
I
make
love it.
sure it goes the way you want it to go.
No, I love it. I remember those days when people would think that we were doing what they call the BlackBerry prayer or whatever. I remember that. It's because it was
Oh, yeah.
looking down on your phone. But yeah, no, it's true. That's a true part
Yeah.
of controlling that perception.
Yeah.
Um, I'm going to move to the next segment, which is our quick win segment. Let's go ahead and like, move forward with a few quick wins that you can start using right now.
Number one, use the bluff method. Bottom line up front. Start with your main point, then add details, but keep it concise. Bullet points help focus the brain and differentiate between the points being made.
Yeah. Practice the 2-second pause before responding. That's very important. Pause for 2 seconds. It makes you sound thoughtful and prevents knee-jerk reactions because sometimes people send emails that make you angry. And instead of just jumping to, hey, this is why I'm angry, this is what you have said, sometimes you got to take a pause and then respond.
Also, don't reply all if you don't need to. So that pause helps
No, no,
with that
reply
too.
all. Make sure everybody knows how angry you are.
Everyone
That's
in
a
the
good tip.
company.
Everyone in the company, make sure the CEO is on it as well.
Oh yeah, those are great. And number three, schedule a feedback loop. After a big meeting or a project, ask for feedback on your communication. It's the best way to improve, right? There's nothing like feedback because you don't know how you're being perceived. You don't know what you don't know. So ask.
I agree. You have to ask to actually get the answers. You can't just assume, right? It's a good
Yep.
one. It's a good one to end on. Um, Anything else, Nina, before we keep moving?
No.
You didn't give anybody a hashtag culture and code, write us a love letter kind of message. Okay, it's okay. All right. Communication isn't just a skill, it's a superpower. And like any skill, it gets better with practice.
So start small, apply these tips, and watch how your relationships and results transform.
All right. This one was a shorter one for us, but thanks for tuning in. If you like what you heard, share it with a friend and subscribe for more anecdotes and jokes. And no, in all seriousness, we hope that you take something from this episode. So please share if you did take something from the episode.
Yeah, and share using hashtag Culture and Code podcast. Until next time, keep communicating with clarity and confidence.
All right.